Hello and welcome everybody to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your co-host Josh, along with my good friend, other co-host, Draft DB's expert, Ethan. How you
Oh,
doing?
DB's expert. Thank you.
Yeah, hey, I gotta give the credit where the credit's due,
Yeah,
especially since
I
I've
did.
been
I
I've
did
been coming to
revamp.
you. So
Yeah, I did revamp your secondary.
yeah, you helped me out quite a bit. But yes, crazy thing is we're a week from the draft. It's finally here
It
from the
is.
NFL draft, and this is especially to the point of fantasy where you should start paying attention. To not only because your rookie drafts are so important, and to where your third round pick can become very expensive later on, depending on who's drafted there, or you can actually start being a little more accurate and see and understand, okay, I like this fit better than other fits. And so the board starts falling into place at this point. So, but first, we're actually going to talk about some news. Uh,
Something we haven't done in a while.
yeah, we haven't done in a while. It's been pretty quiet for the most part this year, unless you're a quarterback. And
Yeah.
we have it in their show notes as Jalen Moneybags Hurts because he just became the not most expensive. He just secured the biggest contract
He
in
got
NFL
paid.
history. Yeah, he
Yeah,
got
he got
paid.
paid.
Well deserved. Great season. Great Super Bowl performance on top of that. The
But have you
deal.
seen his cap hit? His cap hit is
Oh,
insane.
so I want to get to that. So Jalen Hurts, the details is essentially 5 years, 255, 179.3 total guaranteed. So I believe that's the fully guaranteed signing is like 110, and then the total amount with the injury is about 179, I believe is the last report. So the cap hit is the big deal because they were released. I forgot who released them. I think it was Schefter. And someone kind of ran the numbers and said, so this essentially means that there's a good chance 2027 and 2028 cap hits are like $80 million.
Yeah. Because up front, it's like, what, 13, 20, and then 30 million the first 3 years?
Yeah, it's really low, which essentially tells you that the Eagles are going all in for the next 3 years,
Yeah.
which to me also kinda screams Bijan at 10's a legit possibility now.
Dude, I'm telling you, Bajan at 10.
I think Bijan does go at 10, and in that case, if I'm Dallas, I'm punching air, and good luck trying to stop that offense, but, I think I mean, Hurts deserves it more than anything. He's for sure the guy. He did his thing this year.
Yeah.
And I think the deal is pretty flexible to where the Eagles who still have pick 30 this year, who knows how they're able to utilize that and to just keep getting future picks down the road, and keep kicking that can. They're set up to where the offense is going to be pretty solid. And then by the end of the third year of the deal, restructure it. The cap will explode anyway. You get a good deal out of it. So to me, unfortunately, when we all should have been praising Jalen Hurts, this brought up the conversation again of one Lamar Jackson.
Well, and here's what's crazy too, because the contract that he got, I think it was a little bit less than what the initial offer was to Lamar Jackson, if I remember.
So the the fluff number, as I like to call it, the big number is about 5 million more, and the guarantee is way as far as if you include the guarantee for injury and then all the other like kickers in the deal, it's way less than the reported Lamar deal. And I find this to be fascinating because the whole narrative on the contract thing changed. It went from the Ravens are cheap to, oh, wait, Lamar, what are you doing?
Yeah,
And now,
Lamar's just too expensive.
yeah, and apparently there's a rumor going around that he said, get Hopkins and Odell, then we'll talk. And if that's the case, and especially since they did get Odell, this does also look like the non-exclusive franchise tag was mutual, which I find to be kind of interesting there. And it does actually give the Ravens flexibility to go get an Odell, to go get, Hopkins if that's possible, and apparently, as far as it's reported as of right now, they still have about 20-25 million in restructures they can do that they haven't done yet. So the money's there, it's just it's time to sign the dotted line at this
Let
point
me
for
ask you a
Lamar
question.
Jackson.
Do we see a draft day trade for DeAndre Hopkins?
Absolutely. I've always I made a joke to one dude, Rashad, you know what's up. I said it would be hilarious if DeAndre Hopkins announced like a day 3 Ravens draft pick out of nowhere and just do this WWE entrance of like, "I just got traded to the Ravens."
That we need to we need to encourage that more of, like, little memes
Yes.
like that, like, announcing trades, like, them announcing the pick.
Oh, absolutely. It's
And with the 279th pick, the Baltimore
I'm the
Ravens
draft
select
pick because the Bills
this
just traded.
random guy, but they also just traded for me, so what's up?
Yeah, because nothing was funnier. I kid you not, nothing was funnier than Chase Claypool announcing the second round draft pick last year of George Pickens,
Yeah,
who
and then he gets traded
eventually was
later in the
his
season.
replacement.
Yeah, that was brutal. I
That
remember
you
thinking
can
on draft day, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's the most savage thing I've
you
ever seen."
you know the gif of uh of I think it's Ernie like from like Sesame Street just looking up and looking at the book, just like this deadpan stare. That's
Mhm.
what I imagine Claypool just reading it and goes, George Pickens.
That's my job.
Yeah, really. And yeah, that's literally his job, and now, Claypool is a Chicago Bear. But,
Whoops.
um
But speaking of QBs,
yes,
we have another trade brewing.
speculation, I do find this to be very interesting. Um,
A what
my only
trade?
my last thing on Lamar, because I'm not gonna talk much about it, but I'm basically saying if they're gonna use the Jalen Hurts deal as a as kind of the template, most likely it's gonna be Lamar 5 for 260 for 210
Yeah, he should
guaranteed.
honestly, he should not be getting more than a QB that went to the Super Bowl, and I'm just gonna leave it there.
I
Lamar
think
Jackson is
that's
not
a
better than Jalen Hurts.
as a Ravens fan, I will say that's fair. And this is coming from someone who wants to see Lamar get paid too.
Well, I don't what I don't like is this constant one-upmanship of like, well, because somebody got this contract, like I need to get more.
Yeah,
Like
so that's how I mean, that's how the
I hate it.
market's always been ever since they created free agency, like, that's just been the MO. But I will say, though, there comes to a point where the bubble does burst, and we saw that with the receiver this year in free agency. No one really paid up for one. Like,
Yeah, they're paying
besides
like 11 a year.
Odell is the only one that you could say someone truly paid up for, and it's a one-year deal with 4 void years.
Yeah.
Besides that, no one got the giant contract extension. Like, it was 3 for 33 for both Juju Smith and, Schuster and, Jacoby Myers.
And it's like, yeah, totally fair. I would pay
Yeah,
11 million for them as well.
so the market can correct itself, and I think the only way the QB market can correct itself is when the game goes away when the game of football goes away from going, QB's not the most important position.
Whoa.
And if that and I don't think that'll ever be the
That
case.
will
So
never
yeah, that will never happen. But like the game would have to go back to like late 90s, early 2000s level to where you can win a Super Bowl without one.
yeah.
And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
But
So
Trey Lance to the
yeah,
Vikings.
Trey Lance to the Vikings is becoming a very interesting idea.
I mean, it makes sense.
It
If you really think about it, it makes sense.
I hate this for Trey Lance because I do think he has the talent to be good,
Yeah.
and
I
I
wonder
think
the
with
Eagles
Shanahan,
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think within especially with all the world events the last couple of years, no one's been more screwed than Trey Lance, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Going from losing a whole college season of reps to then fracturing his ankle when he first became the starter. Yeah, it sucks. It really, really, really sucks. But I do understand why they're like, "You know what? Let's see if he goes somewhere else." Minnesota, I think, would be good though, and
Yeah,
the big reason why is just because there is some variety, with KOC scheme with Shanahan because like the whole McVay Shanahan relationship is there. It would definitely, I think, still require Trey Lance to sit a year if he were traded during the draft. But if that's the case, that's a perfect scenario for the for the Vikings.
yeah.
But I think the only reason I think it doesn't happen is because I think we need to start talking about Hendon Hooker at 23.
He won't Hendon Hooker won't no, not that high.
You don't think that high?
No, I think that's a bit of a reach. I could definitely see him going, like, in the late 2nd or 3rd round, but I don't know about in the 1st round.
The only reason I think first round's a legit possibility is the fact that he interviewed so well.
I think
And
there will only be 3 QBs in the 1st round.
so Levis is the one that's not getting
Yep.
picked.
Levis and Hooker are the ones not in the 1st.
To be honest with you, I think it's more possible that it's Hooker over Levis as when it comes to getting picked.
I could see Hooker over
However,
Levis, but it won't be in the
yeah,
1st.
however, I think if Tampa's looking at Levis when they pick,
Oh, that's actually
I don't see how you can't pick Levis.
that is actually yeah, that's a solid point.
Because unfortunately the team is too old to contend, but the team is too good for Caleb. That's
Yeah.
the dichotomy I think teams are kind of stuck in right now.
Well, honestly, Tampa should have sold. They should have sold Mike
They
Evans. They should have sold their defense. They should have sold everything.
they sold their soul for 2021, and they were very close to pulling it off again if it wasn't for a just complete defensive collapse at the very end.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reason why we bring this up is because there are some wild card teams that are looking at quarterback. Tampa being one of them because of Tom Brady retirement, Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings, largely because of the
Titans.
contract.
The
Uh,
Titans.
yeah, the Titans especially. I would say Commanders is in that category too.
Yeah, they're gonna have an interesting year on whether or not it's Sam Howell or someone else.
I do have a weird theory on who they'll draft that I haven't seen anyone do yet with their with mock drafts. And I mean,
No.
I'll bring this up once we come together for the draft, but I definitely think tight ends a legit
Well, and
possibility.
here's the thing with Minnesota. If Trey Lance were to go there, I don't think it'd be terrible for him because KOC is off the Sean McVay tree.
Yeah, I
I
don't think
think
it
he'd
would
be a
be.
creative coordinator to where he'd be okay in
Yeah.
Minnesota if that's what
Yeah,
happened.
I think he'll be okay. I don't know how effective he would be as far as like being the dual threat guy that we all thought he could be, but I do think like when you give a quarterback wide receiver one in the league, that should help.
Only a little bit.
Yeah, which actually actually now thinking about it, Minnesota is a pretty interesting team for another receiver, but that's a whole nother discussion. Um,
So speaking potentially new teams, Joe Mixon might be on a new team here shortly.
Beautiful segue, Ethan. Beautiful segue. Yeah, there's been quite the news coming out of draft, especially I think we see a lot of draft day trades with players. I personally think that's kind of where we're heading towards. Joe Mixon was apparently asked to take a pay cut, which makes sense because there's a T. Higgins that has to get paid, a Joe Burrow that has to get paid, and a Jamar Chase that has to get paid eventually.
Yeah, a Joe Shiesty, a
Yeah,
Joe
and
Burrow.
Cincinnati has been already on this because they when they switched their name to Paycor Stadium, that was the immediate change of okay, we gotta start paying people now.
Yeah.
And
It's unfortunate that, like, their most recent draft class is, like, they're all of their good players.
oh, yeah. So that's so th I mean, this is the fascinating thing about team building. It's yes, you've done a incredible job of building the team, and they've competed the last 2 years. Now you gotta start paying people. I think that's why Jesse Bates had to walk, and they drafted Dax Hill last year, and
Yeah,
then
shout
they
out to
had
Cincinnati for giving us Jesse Bates.
yeah, says the Atlanta fan. But, like, that's also where I'm looking at, like, ooh, Trey Hendrickson could get very interesting in the next 2 years, and I think the
He'll be
defense,
gone.
yeah, and if O-line continues to be an issue, that's man, how many more resources can you do or can you add when you have a 200 million plus dollar quarterback, a who knows what Jamar Chase will get, but it's gonna be
Probably, like
insane.
it'll probably be, like, 30 something million.
Yeah, at least, and, that also is very dependent on what Jefferson gets. I know
Yeah,
that's been very quiet, but, like, I we're getting to the point, it's like, is he gonna get extended?
yeah, yeah. If
He
you're
has
looking
to be.
yeah, he has to.
He
He
has to. He has to, and I will unfortunately console Ryan if that doesn't happen.
I will
But
never talk to Ryan again if that doesn't happen, because
yeah,
there will
oh,
be no
please.
consoling it.
Yeah, no. It's just hello darkness, my old friend for 10,000 years.
Yeah, he will be legitimately depressed, I
Yeah,
think, clinically speaking.
yeah, so but, I mean, Joe Mixon taking a pay cut, if he does get cut, I I can see the maybe the Rams, but the Rams are in a cap hell of, like,
Yeah, epic
of its
proportion.
own kind. I'm trying to think who else would be a legitimate possibility, and I can't think one.
I mean, maybe Philly if they don't go after
If Philly doesn't go after Bijan,
but
sure.
I mean, Philly could also go after Dalvin Cook, who's on the chopping block
Actually,
as well.
now thinking about it, probably Dallas. Dallas makes sense
Yeah,
with Mixon.
Dallas and Philly makes sense for both of them unless something crazy happens, but I think Dallas would rather draft Bijan if the Eagles don't take him at 10 than, anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the draft is really centered around who takes Bijan first, because I think once you
That's gonna be
figure
the
out where
game.
he
That's gonna
gets
be the game
slotted,
next Thursday, I'm
yeah,
telling you.
yeah, it's literally once you figure out where he gets slotted, the rest of the draft board kind of makes sense.
No, that I think that's 100% true because it really is gonna be almost like a mystery game of, all right, so who's taking Bijan because these people can take him, these people can take him, these people can take him, these people can take
Yeah,
him, and it all makes sense.
and I think what's crazy, and I think I mean we've talked about it. Running the ball is getting back to being very important, and I
Yeah.
think the Eagles just showed
Oh,
it.
look at the Falcons, look at,
Like,
Cleveland.
it fully turned the page of, "Oh, hey, this is serious," after New England won, the Super Bowl against the Rams, in 2018.
'Cause
And
well, Josh, let me put it this way.
yeah,
Running the football made the Falcons look competitive.
yeah,
That team was terrible. Let's just call it what it is.
arguably one of the worst rosters in the league.
Yeah, that was just a bad football team, and they looked relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, running the ball has become the great equalizer to a Mahomes, to a Josh Allen, to a Herbert, and it's like, if I can take the ball out of your hands and kill clock, it gives me a chance to win 24-20 rather than trying to outshoot you for a 35-32 kind of game.
Right.
And that's just been the great equalizer, especially given all the rule changes.
And with
Uh,
that, we've completed our summoning ritual of Ryan, I think.
um, al- almost. I mean, the last one we gotta talk about is Dalvin Cook when it comes to news here.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of like the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
So
gone.
so let me ask you a question. If you're looking for a running back, are you trading for Joe Mixon or Dalvin Cook?
No. I'm waiting for him to get cut because you know
Cap
it's gonna
casualty. Yep, I totally agree with you. Who would you
it's
take?
like, ooh,
Because
probably Dalvin. Probably Dalvin by a little bit.
I'm going to say Joe, but it's because I trust him as a receiver out of the backfield, and I
I
know
trust him
I can stretch reps a little bit better that way, I think.
because
Like,
if
it
I'm trading for a running back, I'm trading for Eckler, you know?
Oh,
Like, I'm
yeah.
not gonna trade for Joe Mixon or Dalvin Cook. I'm gonna trade for Eckler.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Eckler, I think, because there's one running back in our, rookie review that it's all centered around what happens to Austin Eckler,
Yeah, and he
and
happens to be on my team.
yeah, but I don't blame you for the pick, Ethan, because we're right back in this spot. It makes sense.
Dude, I
It
remember when I picked him in our rookie draft, and I was like, "Man, why did I do that?" Like, gosh, that was such a waste of a pick, but
uh,
if the stars align, oh, man.
no, I'm feeling that way too, but my fear is with tight ends.
Yeah,
It's just because I'm like, man, was I a year early? Maybe?
I think you were. I think
Grant
you definitely
Granted, though, look, I'll just tell you right now, I think he becomes a first round pick because I agree. This is where Spencer Schultz says it perfectly. Draft aliens and prosper, and that's Darnell Washington.
this is true.
Draft aliens and prosper. So let's get into the running backs. So we had quite a few running backs last year. And I think they all impressed to a certain degree.
In their
Uh,
own way,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, in their own way. And I think things definitely become very interesting when we talk about the long-term and dynasty projections of the group. And I think, usually quarterbacks we talked about within a 5-year period. I think running backs we may have to talk in a 3-year period.
I think that's
It's
probably fair.
Yeah, and I think even as a dynasty manager, you have to consider the running backs in that capacity. Because if you do find one that you can use for 5 plus years, you've won. Like, you've won the game of life.
Yeah. Well, we also need to talk about, surges, but that'll be for a later day.
Yeah,
For
that will be for a later day. I could see we should be having Ryan
summon,
hop on real quick. Maybe, maybe not.
did you offer the blood sacrifice, Josh?
Crap, I forgot. Hold on, I'll be
Okay,
right back.
you're not gonna be able to connect.
Pause. Oh boy. Yeah, attack of the school Wi-Fi. Ugh, it's never been good. He is alive. Okay, I did do my blood
He
sacrifice.
is
Okay,
here.
I can't just yell that out loud.
I did do it.
I did do it.
Ryan is muted. You're muted, buddy.
You are muted.
But you're present, and we missed your face.
Yes. We are happy you are here. We just talked about Dalvin Cook, and we said how we wait for him to get
Well,
cut.
I mean, technically, our sacrifice was Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon,
That is true.
and
Okay, can y'all
potentially.
hear me?
Oh,
Yep.
he is here.
Hey, he has risen.
He's here, and he is
I'm
clean.
kidding. Nice. Um, I'm actually gonna add one more person on this list.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear, my friend.
Okay, I can. Hear you.
Nice. So, alrighty, guys. We have quite a few running backs to go through for our rookie review.
One Brees.
And yeah, literally, I think we will start off with Brees Hall because I think that one's going to be the most polarizing prospect at the moment. But definitely, we're going to consider these in 3-year spans. So definitely with the dynasty caps on, guys. Where is Brees Hall on the tier list?
Brees Hall is tier 2.
I have I'm gonna say low tier 2, high tier 3.
Ryan's visibly
Uh,
upset.
Um, I'd say I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for him. I think it's a low mid tier two. I think he's just a solid tier two.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know if he's going to be a full-fledged um, RB1 right out the bat, coming off the ACL tear. So I that's just my opinion on that.
So
So
I'll just kind of just jump off where you ended there. If he didn't tear his ACL, he's tier 1 for me.
solid
Yes.
tier one.
But it's because
100%.
running backs take the longest with ACL tears, and it's usually 18 months. So that means you're going into next year with way lower expectations. You're basically praying that he's ready by year 3. And then what makes it even worse on top of that is he was a second round pick. He doesn't have that 5th-year option. So he's going into year 3 of a 4-year deal, and it's essentially prove it time.
Yep.
And then you have a quarterback who can finally throw the ball.
Welcome to the NFL, Rook.
Yep, really. Not for long
Yep, really.
is the biggest truth that has ever come within the NFL. So that's why, personally, for me, Brees Hall is tier 3 at the moment.
As
But
Ryan struggles, this is so
yeah,
Sorry,
embarrassing.
I know.
This is
I'm
so
having
this is
problems.
so embarrassing,
This is what
Ryan.
happens.
yeah.
This is what happens when I come in
Ethan, for the
late.
audio listeners, just describe what is happening right now.
It is a very, very uncoordinated man
Yeah,
fumbling with a camera and smiling all the
uncoordinated.
way, but
I
Dang.
take
you can
offense.
see
I
in
take
his you
offense
can
to
see in his
Yeah.
eyes that
uncoordinated.
he's trying so hard and he's embarrassed and he knows he's embarrassed, but he's still maintaining eye contact.
You're
Ethan could start a
terrible.
book club.
I
You
could.
could. You're very descriptive, and it's accurate. I I came on the podcast late for everybody. Obviously, came on here
Shame.
late, and my
Great, a
audio
great shame.
system that I'm and the audio system that I normally have, my full microphone and everything, crapped out on me. So I'm having to do my AirPods
Hey, I'm
and
Just
right
like
there
the
with you.
Minnesota
I had
so
this.
Vikings
I
NFL
had the
playoffs.
same issue with my setup. That's why I haven't changed it. And it's just
so
like it stopped
yeah,
working.
yeah, it crapped out on me. So I'm
I,
having to I was having to figure it all out.
I need to say it
So
one more time, Ryan. It crapped out on you like the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs.
yeah,
Oh,
We should go to Kenneth Walker. We should.
bro,
boom,
for real,
roasted.
We
Yeah.
should.
So
for real though, for
yeah,
real
for
though.
real. So are we done on Brees Hall? We're all cool with tier 2.
Yeah, tier
Okay,
two.
Yeah.
Hopeful though,
yeah,
but tier two.
Yep. I agree with
okay.
that. Kenneth
Did y'all
Walker.
did y'all address? Hold on, in news, did y'all address um the Trey Lance news?
Oh,
Yeah,
did
dude.
we?
Do you think this is
Okay,
amateur hour?
okay, all right.
Sorry, we show up on time to the podcast, Ryan. My bad.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
sorry. I have
oh,
a job.
oh.
And we don't?
Uh,
And we don't have jobs, Ryan?
No,
Okay.
uh,
That's
no.
really interesting.
yeah. Tell that to the all nighter I just pulled last night. Jeez.
Yeah, tell that to me. Who woke
Yeah.
myself up at
Okay.
4:45 this evening, you jerk.
Wow. Why are we being petty? What happened?
Kenneth
Okay.
Walker
Okay.
happened.
Kenneth
Yeah.
Walker.
All
And
right.
I've never been more upset to have been so right about someone.
I will tell you with Kenneth Walker, this one was the easiest out of all of them. Is the easiest.
Yeah.
He's
Tier
just
1.
good. Yeah,
He's
he's
tier
tier
1.
one. He's just
For
so
sure. Yeah,
good.
he's tier one.
Tier 1, and I think there is a legitimate chance Seahawks at 5 takes Skoronski and put him at guard. And if that's the case,
I hope they do.
good luck because Kenneth Walker will explode.
Yep.
Because even if the team
Yep.
craps out next year, they'll still have, a lot of QB options. So you might as well build up the offensive line. And you already have the wide receivers. DK is not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Lockett is still young enough, but there's other guys that you can sign in free agency if need be.
and the only person I could think of would be on the defensive side to like maybe that's where I consider Jalen Carter at 5. But if you want to go, hey, we're going to build this offense all out, and then we'll figure out who our quarterback of the future is later. But at least let's give him all the pieces.
Right.
And Kenneth Walker is certainly that piece. And I think, yeah, tier 1 for the next 3 years, 100%.
100%. Yeah.
for
Like,
sure.
Because especially like I feel like a lot of fantasy teams that were really successful, Kenneth Walker was their flex, and then they
yes.
had two solid running backs and just mowed people down.
Yep, because he had the two
For sure.
solid backs, and then Kenneth Walker really caught fire by the end. And I do
Yeah, if
think
you had him for playoffs, good lord. I mean, especially like if he's your flex player, like 14, 19, and 22, if he's your like first flex player in the playoffs, that's you can't ask for more than that.
yeah,
Yeah, he killed it.
I think if Seattle had a better interior offensive line, he's probably not taking a lot of those hits that he took.
Yeah.
And to where it's
100%.
like I can even see the longevity, and this is coming, and we're talking about RB16 on the year.
Well, that
Like
was
he's
also when
already a
Gino.
yeah,
That was also when Gino's going off.
yeah.
So you you got to think they're going to have to replace Gino here in the next couple of years. Gino's not a franchise quarterback. I don't think he's going to be there for a long time. I think they're going to try to replace him here in the next couple of years. I think maybe for the next 1, 2 years. I know he just signed a 3-year deal.
The deal is essentially 2 years. If
Yeah,
I remember
so
the contract
you
correctly.
know you know that they're going to be this year is really going to be a deciding factor for Gino, and I think they're going to be looking at another quarterback, which would mean they're going to be leaning a lot more on Kenneth Walker
And they
in
also
that
have
time.
they have 2 first round picks next year too.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, look, Gino could be the guy, and like, look, if he succeeds, great. Then we
Yeah,
can just build up the rest of the team with all our picks. If not, we have the ammo to get a quarterback. But in the
exactly.
meantime, we have this awesome running back that refuses to go down on first contact.
Yeah, he's a beast, and I think he's gonna be great for many years. So
Yeah. And let's talk about a running back who I think will be great for this year, in Tyler Algier.
No, the most important running back on
Algier for you.
Yeah. So, guys, where do we have Algier?
tier one, I would say. I'd say a low tier one, but a tier one.
I got tier two for him. Uh,
I'm
it,
at a low tier. I'm at a low tier too.
I gotcha. So, what do you think will puts him in that tier one status for you, Ethan? Besides the fact that you're an Atlanta fan.
Yeah, no, what I really liked about Algier is the approach Arthur Smith took with him because of the talent that was on the team. So, I mean, he got touches because if you look at it, he pretty much had double digit touches all year long. I mean, to start off, the lowest touches I think he got was 6. So he got like a decent volume. It was just tough because at the beginning of the year, why I didn't score as many points is because he was that it's third down and short, get it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You're a big boy, go get it. But
Yeah.
towards the end of the year, for example, when Patterson first got injured in that like week 7 to week 8 range, you finally saw him like, oh, like, hey, wait a minute, this kid can be kind of good. Obviously, Cordell Patterson comes back after that, and his touches get lowered until I feel like Arthur Smith just pulled up the tape and was like, wait, this dude can run. And that's where you
Yeah.
saw the 17, 18, 20, and 24 carries on top of good receiving work. Like he had surprisingly good hands
How many
for
tar?
a losing running back.
So, Ethan, if you can bring the stats up, but what were his targets when Ritter came in?
Targets, over the end,
Because that's
The
to me,
last
that's
four
when it
games,
changed.
he
Yeah.
had
1, 5, and
1, 5, and 1.
So okay, so that's a little inconsistent.
And the,
But
the 5 was in the Baltimore game.
yeah, because Baltimore was not letting them try to shoot deep, so
but
the
So,
again,
flats were
I
always
think
open.
that's just Algier's story of bringing it to him slowly because he can do it, especially
Yeah,
against Baltimore. You saw that he can do it, but they're just getting him ready. And now this season, I mean, he's
yeah.
coming out as RB1.
This
He's
is his
completely solidified that.
yeah,
Yeah, this was his kind of warm-up season. This was just to, see what was going on with
And
him
that's why
and
I
to
say
figure him out. And I think that, he's gonna do really well. I
Yeah,
I really think so in Atlanta.
I
Well,
definitely think so too.
and that's why I see him as a lower tier one because he's going to be the day one starter. He's
Mhm.
had his warm up over the last or yeah, over the last like 4 games. He really showed that he can be dominant. And I think your dominant day one starters for next season, that's your tier one list.
Yeah,
But
I could
what would you rank him? What do you see him being next year in rankings? What range?
Like where he finishes like RB whatever.
Yeah,
I think next year he can finish in the top 15 of running backs.
that's
and
about the range that I saw him coming in.
Like
that's
I could see him as like RB 11 or RB 10.
yeah, so and that's oof, I don't know
Maybe better.
10. I see 12 to 16, and to me that's tier 2.
And that's if he gets consistent work, like 20 touches, yeah, 17 to 20 touches a game. I'd
But
say he'd be in that range.
the most important thing though, I think, is that he does have to get receiving work. It's the only thing that I
Well,
am just cautious about from putting him in tier 1.
because
Yeah.
here's the thing, right? So if we're looking at our RB 10 last year was Ramondre, excuse me, Stevenson. And I mean, looking at these numbers, if Algier is getting 15 plus touches a game plus targets, he can blow these Ramondre numbers out of the water. And that's
Yeah.
my argument for he can be in that top 10. I think realistically it's 15. Like that's where you should set your expectation. But he could be inside, that RB 10, that RB 9, and put up better numbers than Ramondre did last year.
Ooh. Ooh, Ethan, you might have sold me. You might have sold me on tier 1.
I dude, I'm a salesman. What do you
Not
think
Yeah,
what do you
that's
think I
true.
do all day?
Ethan the salesman McShane.
That's me. That's me. Closing deals and making steals.
Don't
Most
finish
of
that.
the
Yes, yes, Ethan, yes. That needs to be that needs to be a segment we do.
Oh my
What
We
gosh.
the deal of the episode?
Yeah, so we'll just talk about trades or something like that. But
Deal deal
I
of the
mean,
week.
literally with all the limited work he had throughout the year, RB 28 on our fantasy rankings. And yeah, and that's just based off his averages being about 13 points a game. That even goes up too. That puts him at RB 18, so that's 10 spot. Yeah, I think you sold me on low tier 1. I
And
think
he
you
was
really have.
and he was in a 3 running back committee. He's not gonna be in a 3 running back committee next year.
I think they'll sprinkle in somebody for passing work. Um,
Yeah.
Well,
but
they'll sprinkle
I
Cordell for
don't
passing.
yeah, but I don't think he's gonna get all of the passing work
But I don't know,
and be a workhorse back.
are you gonna throw to Cordero out of the backfield over
Well,
Algier, who's proven that he can
so
catch and run with the
so
ball
here's
when
something.
you can just go spread?
I gotta remember who kind of really started the idea of this. I want to say it was Benjamin Solak, but I might be wrong on that. So if I get corrected in the comments, I'll take your word for it. But essentially, they said what the best thing about mobile quarterbacks has been is that if you're going to be more mobile with your QB in the run game, then you better push the ball vertically.
Mhm.
And I think that's where that might hurt like a Cordero, or that might hurt even Algier for that matter, if they're
Mm,
going to just keep pushing the ball vertically, which is definitely an Arthur Smith thing to do. So
Yeah,
that's my one fear about Algier not being tier 1, but even the floor I still think is tier 2.
I don't know, just Ritter and Algier and Drake London just have this chemistry, which I think is only gonna be good for Atlanta.
Yeah, and especially what we'll see what they do at 8. Let's talk about our next running back, and I think he
Tier 1,
caught fire.
tier
Tier
1,
1, really.
tier 1.
I have tier 2 for
For who?
1 Dameon Pierce.
I'm kind of low on Damian Pierce.
Nice.
I
How low is the real question?
Houston is goated. They're drafting a QB.
Because
They
the
can't
thing
get any worse.
they
they
there's
can't get
rumors
any.
that they won't. There's
Yeah, but
rumors that
everyone, bro,
they're trying to get out
do you know how many
of the second
people
pick.
blow smoke and mirrors leading up to the
Yeah,
draft
I
of
like to
like
say
just
this
a
is BS
completely
season.
inconceivable scenario where a team does not take a position that they need when there's a guy who grades out at where they're drafting at?
Who knows though? Who knows what's going to happen? Y'all are so confident, and they have a brand new defensive minded coach that's wanting to rebuild from the ground up.
Well,
And I understand going quarterback. I really do. But there's other picks that they can get that
I
maybe
mean,
franchise picks.
Houston needs everything right now. So I definitely think, and considering how the odds makers changed the board, I think someone did spill the tea on Houston's big board. Like I definitely think it's if Bryce Young is pick 1, there is a legit discussion about pick 2 not being a quarterback. And
Yeah,
that's very possible. I actually now thinking about it, and I gut said tier 2, like my initial reaction. I'm actually going to go down to tier 3 for Damian Pierce.
I'm a high tier 3.
And the only
L-
reason why I have tier
Yeah,
3 is I am curious to how the Bobby Slowick offense will be because if he stays to the Shanahan outside zone, does Damian Pierce fit that? And I am not
No,
100%
actually,
sure about that.
yes. Actually, I would say yes.
And even if he does, there's nothing that they have done this year that makes me think the results will change. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing I could see being tier 3. And the only reason we hyped him up last year is because, oh hey, in redraft leagues, you were going to get him in like round 10, and it was going to be a
yeah,
steal at round 10. But if you're talking about like, oh hey, you're gonna have to pay up for Damian Pierce right now, I don't think it's worth it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because he
I
was a
agree with that.
sleeper, he wasn't a for sure locked in starter.
Yeah.
So nobody knew what was going on
I still
until
out of
after the summer.
the running backs we talked about so far, he is the first one I go with pure confidence. I have pure confidence in this. I think they will draft another running back. I don't think it'll be Bijan, but I don't think it'll be a workload back, especially because he missed like 6 games in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, if you're already
Well,
doing that now, like you're
he missed
it's
4 games at the end of the season, yeah, so I don't know. We'll see with him.
yeah,
I
we'll
See,
could
see.
it's
definitely see like a
my only concern is them running him into the ground.
yeah, which
That's
Yeah,
they
really my
that's
only concern because that's their only weapon right now. And if they don't end up going quarterback, then there is a good chance that Damian Pierce gets the breaks run off him this year.
yeah.
Like there's a decent chance because he's their only weapon.
yeah, and
So
there's a big question I have tied to this, and the first person I thought of was Damian Pierce. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all agree tier 3, or are we going tier 2, tier 3,
Yeah, no, I agree with tier
I'd
3.
say tier
tier
three
3?
just because of my concerns,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
that's it. Like
we hope really gets tier 1,
there's a
but realistically.
yeah, but there's buckets of talent in this man. Like Damian Pierce is a very talented running back, but it's just there's a lot of concerns with the team.
Yeah, it's not
Mm,
necessarily with the player.
yeah,
I 100% agree with that.
Well,
so
I think we need to skip around here a little bit because we have like 2 more tier 3 RBs to talk about.
Yeah, you know what,
okay.
Ethan, you have you see the list. Who you got next?
I think we should talk about Brian Robinson next.
Yeah, I am actually tier 3?
Tier 3.
Tier 3.
Tier 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we had a okay, if we have a tier
Okay,
4, I'd
well,
say
let's talk
tier
about
4.
Rashad White instead then, because
Okay,
Rashad is definitely tier 3.
tier 2. Dang it.
Rashad White?
Yes.
Ooh.
And the only
Oh,
reason why is because the passing volume he got makes me go, "Oh, that's sneaky." And there's no Leonard Fournette in the way.
I
yeah,
was gonna say no, Leonard
the
Fournette
only
isn't there anymore. So he's gonna
but
get
that offense is gonna be bad without Brady. He's tier
it
3.
it is.
He's tier
It
3.
It
is,
is.
but I think that means more checkdowns. I think we're getting a James
Exactly.
Robinson-esque kind of year out of Rashad White. Now, as far
Yep.
as the 3-year run of let's see how this goes, yeah, that may not look too great for Rashad White. But as far as this year alone, tier 2. Like
Yeah, those
I
that
can see
have
him being a
him,
midseason trade.
yeah, those that have him, keep him because there's decent potential. And if he goes off this year, then trade him and trade him
I'm
for a
not trading.
very, very pretty penny.
I'm not
But
Yes.
trading.
hold on to him this year because he could be a top tier running back this year.
Yeah, and
I
he
don't
was
believe
crazy.
him. I'm not trading for him.
He was picked in the
No, no,
second
no. Don't
round.
trade for him.
No, we're saying trade him away if he takes off in the beginning of the year. Yeah, and that's where another good pick by Ashley in our dynasty
Maybe
draft.
maybe if I'm drunk,
Yeah.
I
Maybe,
won't. Maybe.
maybe, but yeah, but I mean, Rashad White does the full package, basically Fournette light last year, and I think a little bit more pop than what Fournette has right now.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think Rashad White could be really good.
I
Now,
mean,
if the team,
he outperformed Leonard Fournette
yeah, I think
through most of the
No.
year.
the
No, he
only,
did not.
I think for the second half of the year he
Through the
did.
But
last half, I should say.
don't commit. No, bro. Do we need to pull up the numbers?
Yeah,
Do it.
let's pull up numbers.
All right, end of the year.
Maybe
We
not in rushing ability. Yeah.
okay, but if you're saying he outperformed Leonard Fournette, you're saying that his performance overall was better
Okay,
than.
maybe not fantasy wise. Maybe not fantasy wise.
I mean, if but in what sense are you talking about? Like,
I think he was explosive. I think he was explosive. He
yeah,
showed a
he was
lot of
more explosive
potential.
than
And
Leonard.
he it was there just wasn't a lot of spark from Leonard Fournette.
There's only one thing to Rashad White that scares me from top two, and that's if Trask or Baker Mayfield just doesn't care about checkdowns.
Which I don't.
Because
Yeah.
because that was Brady's MO, and that's why like you were always grabbing a Danny Woodhead, that's why all these running backs who can catch out of the backfield were always like fantasy worthy. But yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know. I definitely would not say he outperformed Lenny at the end. I think he was more explosive. You can definitely convince me on that. I think he has more potential and that they should be excited about him. But, he's definitely the guy now. And I think that's all you should be focused on.
I'll concede to that.
Yeah, I think no, I'm trying to compromise with you. So I'm glad you see it that way because I think that's definitely the case of Rashad White.
so final choice. Are we thinking tier 2, tier 3? How do we feel?
Rashad White, I'd say a low tier 3.
All righty. You know what? I can be convinced into that.
Yeah.
I think his ceiling is tier 2 though. Like I don't think
That could be fair. I think
I
that
don't
could
think
how
he'll hit
explosive
tier
he
1.
is with how explosive he is, I think that's fair.
Yeah. All righty. We got 3 running backs we have to talk about.
But I mean, you can lump, I think, James Cook and Isaiah Spiller in together. Like, there's loads of potential there. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't happen. I mean, for Isaiah
Mhm.
Spiller, you probably need an Eckler trade and a Joshua Kelly injury to see anything.
Yeah.
So, and same thing with James Cook. Like, is he
Uh,
going to be the guy? I don't think
So
so.
I think James Cook could be tier 2 if the Bills remember to run the ball.
which
is
they
how I'm
won't.
putting it. So
Wait, but
I
you
think
mean
James
Josh
Cook,
Allen, right? That's what
yeah,
you meant when you said
Oh my
power,
gosh.
right? QB power?
yeah, QB power as your short yardage every single game. Oh, a UCL sprain. Who could have thunk?
How could this have happened?
It's
No.
the it's the Eric Andre meme where he shoots the person. And it's like, who could have done this?
Oh my god.
What just happened?
Or
No.
the one where it was like, you sure about that? But but yeah, I definitely think James Cook is tier 3 at the moment. I think he has a chance to be tier 1 on just
Maybe.
off potential.
I
Low
don't
tier
know,
1 off
man.
potential, but the only reason why is because unlike
Uh,
Singletary, he could be a way better receiver out of the backfield. And he's
You
not afraid to take I say this knowing I am the highest on James Cook, and
He's
I
the
will
kind of
die
guy
on a
you need to
hill.
see it. He's the kind of guy you need to see it. Like, you cannot make any predictions about this offense because people are still saying Buffalo needs to draft for DeAndre Hopkins, which is the mecca of stupidity.
No, I think that's actually I'm ready
It won't work.
to no, you want to know the reason why I think they need to though? Is because when they signed Cole Beasley last year in the middle of the season, that's when the Bills announced, guys, Gabe Davis ain't it.
yeah, exactly.
And
But if
it's
Gabe Davis ain't it, Isaiah McKenzie is good.
because
Isaiah
I
is
don't
so
think
slept on.
McKenzie gets the job done.
I don't think he does either.
But he's slept on. That's his problem. Because
Yeah,
he's
I know
good,
you're
but no one
higher on
knows.
McKenzie than anyone else.
I
I'm like,
know,
Yeah,
but it was the same thing with DPJ, dude. Like loads of talent, great wide receiver, but everyone is sleeping on him.
everyone, including his
Although
coaches.
DPJ is a way more talented wide receiver, but I do think
yeah,
Isaiah McKenzie with more reps could be
yeah.
special.
I will say personally, I know Ethan and I were talking about this off air, and we'll probably mention this in our wide receivers rookie review episode. Uh, as of right now, I think Jordan Addison to the Bills could potentially be a lock,
Yeah,
Mm,
and it's because they
I
just need someone
yeah,
else.
they
And what
do. They need somebody on opposite Diggs.
and on top of that, have y'all seen the cap hits for Diggs and Josh Allen this year? It's when
I
they
know
kick
Josh Allen. It's ridiculous.
Diggs is crazier. Diggs hits I think 30.
Jeez.
And that's where you go, well, good luck trying to get Hopkins, especially when your interior D line is getting cooked in the divisional round. So I'll double check the numbers for Stephon Diggs.
I don't know, but
But going, oh yeah,
I don't know, man. Just beyond that,
going back to Cook, I think James Cook is decent. I think he has the potential. I just don't know. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay, guys. If Stephon Diggs were to somehow get cut this year, his cap number would be 14 mil, but his dead money would be 45
yeah.
pre June 1st.
Whoa.
And if you were to get traded, it's 44, and that's pre June 1st. Now
But
post
don't
June
worry.
1st,
But don't worry. Don't target him in the
yeah,
playoffs, Josh Allen. Just keep doing your thing.
yeah, just keep doing your thing. Post June 1st, completely different story, but pre June 1st, yeah, good luck.
Yikes.
So yeah, all right. So we have tier 3 for Cook, tier 4 for I have tier 4 for Spiller, and largely it's I just say average because it's really just
Hey,
based
they
off
don't.
where Eckler goes.
I'd say tier 5
Yeah,
or tier 4. Tier 4 without Eckler, tier 5 with Eckler.
I would agree with that. The last one, and I think this one's weird.
B Rob,
B Rob.
yeah,
I'm gonna say
tier
tier
4.
4.
Yeah, the rise of one forgotten running back.
yeah. I'd say tier
Our
three,
champion.
low end tier three.
My
Oh,
champion
really?
team.
Because I don't know in the offense,
I
like,
think he's gonna get consistent work, but it might not be effective.
So here's how I imagine it. Imagine Kansas City last year and just transfer it over to Washington. Pacheco is Brian Robinson. Jerick McKinnon is Antonio Gibson. If that's the case, Brian Robinson on a fantasy level makes no sense. And largely it's because he's going to be so dependent on touchdowns rather than touches
Mhm.
to where I think 4 is just going to be average. And if you have to throw him into just a spot start, you're hoping for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Whereas Antonio Gibson, if he gets a lot of the receiving work, especially because he started as a receiver, things can get fun with Antonio Gibson again. But
Yeah.
it's what they did last year where it's like, hey, Brian Robinson, you're a rookie. Run into this 8-man box for a 3-yard gain 6
Yeah,
times in a row. Oh, then let's bring in Antonio Gibson. So it's
but what happens if Antonio Gibson goes back into the doghouse mysteriously, like he has over the last couple of years?
I don't think he will in Beanimies.
if yeah. if he I will say
Being
if he gets into the
Beanie.
doghouse with the enemy, then the problem's on the player. But
Yeah.
I usually go off of 1's a fluke, 2's a coincidence, 3's a pattern. So then that would be 2. And then
Yeah.
depending if you want to move off on Antonio Gibson, Ron Rivera would be 3, but who knows?
Yeah, but Ron
Um
is
yeah.
trash.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. Have you gone over Pacheco yet?
Holy cow! I forgot Pacheco on this list.
You literally just talked about him.
I know for some
So
reason I
yeah,
thought he was the year before. That's my bad.
yeah.
Um,
No, I think Pacheco has really good potential um this upcoming year. I think he had a slow start last year and kind of took a back seat. I mean, he was their main back in the last half of the season, but a lot more of like the flashy plays,
Yeah, he's
touchdowns, all of that went to
he's a
Jerick
T two.
McKinnon,
You know, he's a T.
and I think he's a potential high tier 3, low tier 2. I think
that's
he could
exactly
make it
where
up
I
I have
there.
have
him
him.
low. I have him low tier 2 for me.
He will be more touchdown dependent,
He'll
but
be very touchdown dependent.
I mean, there's a reason Kansas City hasn't signed Jerick McKinnon and they let Ronald Jones go,
Yep.
and Clyde
And
Yep.
Edwards-Helaire is still there.
his name is Isaiah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and CEH is still there, but I don't think he's a part of this offense anymore.
No,
No,
I
I
think
think
they
Pacheco
finally caught up with him.
I
yeah.
think Pacheco takes over that backfield
I,
and
you think now he takes over?
blossoms.
I think he took over last year.
But Josh,
No, but he was still splitting a lot of the work with Jared McKinnon. I
It was 2 different roles though. So like
it was
that's
it was two very different roles, but I think he absorbs Jarek McKinnon's, or at least part of Jarek McKinnon's
oh, okay.
passing work. I
Okay, that's
think he
interesting.
could. I think he could potentially do that. Now, he might not be built for it, but there's potential there.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about when we going with Pacheco is that he was a 6th, 7th round pick. So there's
Yeah.
really nothing there's nothing to stop Kansas City from drafting a running back, especially
Yeah.
with how good this running back class is.
My only issue with Pacheco is with the amount of work that he got, he only saw the field less than half the time in
Yeah,
every game but 2. And that was he was on the field for 56% of the snaps.
the highest snap
Every
percentage was
other
56.
56. I mean, he ranged between 35 and about 45
Yeah,
most of the games.
56 was Jacksonville, week 10.
Yeah.
And he was 16 for 82, averaged 5 yards a carry, but no touchdowns. So he only scored 8.4 points that game.
Yeah, his yards per carry is good. So when he's on the field, he's effective, but
Mhm.
it's will they put him on the field?
And
So
with
That's the
that,
big
Josh,
question.
we have big questions.
We do have some big
yeah,
questions.
big
Those are our
questions.
tier list. So, there's one actually, before we go big questions, I'm just telling everyone now,
Ty Chandler's dead.
no.
Oh my god.
If Dalvin Cook's gone, Ty Chandler gets very fascinating. But
Yeah.
we have no tier list for him because he literally didn't play.
His tier list is tier 0. Big
Yeah.
questions.
Big question, guys, for the rookie class of 2022. If everything all right, actually, let me start with this. Who are you most confident in and who are you least confident in for the next 3
Ooh.
years?
Most confident is gotta be Ken.
Yep,
Kung Fu Kenny.
yep.
Wait, who?
Most confident is Kung
Kenneth
Fu
Walker.
Kenny.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. Between Kenny and Brees Hall.
All
But
right,
I think Kenny, with his performance last year, I think Kenneth Walker, he's a
yeah.
solid pick.
All
You're
right.
not gonna like it.
Who are
Oh,
we
sorry.
least confident in?
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not gonna like it, but it's Brees Hall.
Who's on shaky ground? Rashad White.
I got Damian Pierce.
I've got Brees Hall just because of the injury, though. Only
Yeah, that's fair, Ethan. That's really fair. That's a
Wait.
fair
For the
point.
next couple of years?
Yes,
yeah.
for
Well, think about it. If he doesn't play
Mm,
if he doesn't play year 2 because he's not back
well, yeah.
fully.
If he's not back to form year 2, year
yeah,
3 becomes super important. Is he going to play on the
Yeah, and
last year of the
then
deal?
it comes
yeah,
down to year 3 snap count. Okay, well, if he shows that he's the most dominant running back in the snap count, splitting time, well, now you get to the end of year 3 and maybe he's your guy. So you're going into the beginning of that 3rd year of maybe he overcame all of that and became the guy.
maybe, maybe. Who knows?
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying, like, I'm the least
Yeah,
confident in him because Kung Fu Kenny, we already know, incredibly talented, RB day one. Tyler Algier, incredibly talented, RB day one. Damian Pierce,
Yeah,
incredibly talented, RB day one. James Cook, you
now
know,
RB day one.
yeah, now as of right now, he's RB1 day one,
Yeah,
but is he that talented? Isaiah Spiller, if is Austin Eckler going to leave? If not, I mean, other than that, we don't have high expectations of him. So it's not that I'm least confident in him. It's just we don't know anything about him yet. The
yeah.
only other one for me would be Robinson, probably, that I'm not as confident in.
the only reason I think Robinson is going to stay around is that he is a jack of all trades kind of running back. And
Yeah.
I think that's why he got picked in the 3rd round is because it's like, oh, hey, I don't really have to teach him all the other nuances of running back that I have to teach an Antonio Gibson. So
Yeah.
that gets him on the field ASAP. Now, granted, what does he do with those reps? That's that's the question we're all trying to figure out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That puts my confidence just at a meh. So based off that question, most confident, least confident for your most confident player, how many draft picks would you trade for them?
A first and a second for Ken Walker.
Just a first and a second?
Ooh. Oh, I
Just a first and a second. That's the
Yeah.
question.
No, that's my
Wow.
answer.
I go. Oof.
Because he hasn't done it yet. I mean, we
I
we talk like Ken Walker's done it, but he hasn't done it
if I'm in win now mode and I have picks to sell, I might do a first and 2/3
for Ken Walker.
for Ken Walker.
Yeah,
I think two firsts and a second.
you're drunk.
Ooh, I think that's true, Ryan. I think that's true. Once he hits it, once
Yes.
he,
Yeah,
yeah.
when he hits it, two first and second, he hasn't hit nothing yet.
Well,
Mm.
granted, the question is if everything goes right. So
If everything goes right.
that is all right.
If
And
So
that's
everything
at it.
goes right, you're trading for him before he's worth two first and second.
yeah, all right, guys. So the next big question: who gets the first contract?
Or the
Who
first
gets?
big contract?
Yeah, the first big contract. I can't read my own
Oh,
question.
I don't
Ken
think that's going
Walker.
to happen for the next couple of years.
Yeah,
It'll be Ken
they
Walker.
can't till after year 3, but I'm just very curious because we have no first round running back, so they all don't have a 5th-year option.
Mm,
And I personally, I don't know how the running back class is next year or the year after. So are we in a nice little 2-year golden era of running back play, and then does it fall off a cliff? Like kind of like how it was with '08 and then Bishop Sankey out of nowhere in like 2012. So that's the only thing that I am interested in when it comes to the contracts.
Ken's getting a fatty.
I think Kenneth is for
yeah,
sure. I think Brees Hall could get interesting if he comes back to form.
Yeah, Brees
I
Hall also
yeah.
get that contract.
If he comes back to form, especially if he comes back in force this year. Now I don't know. That's a very slim chance, but it's happened before.
Yeah, we're saying a lot of
Um,
It's a lot of ifs
yeah,
for
that's
this.
a
This is a lot.
ifs.
This is
That's a lot of
projections.
ifs. Yeah, and these are way off, you know, in the future. But I mean, if he comes back in force this year and performs the next 2 years, then yeah, for sure he's going to get a fat paycheck.
Yep.
yeah.
And my last question to you guys for our running backs: who is the first running back to get replaced out of this list?
Mm,
Oh,
James Cook.
Ooh,
oh,
ooh, ooh! I like That's a
dang,
bold choice.
dang. Um,
I'm gonna. Ooh, I hate to say this, but there's a shot of this happening.
Damian
Pacheco.
Yeah,
Pacheco,
Pacheco
really?
has a chance.
It's
Okay,
it's it's just
I think
because
it.
I could totally see the KC just like, "Oh, here's another running back," and then they'll just take the hot hand,
Yeah,
and then but you're just left with the pieces of Pacheco. Because that's exactly what just happened to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that's my only fear of Pacheco.
yeah. Well, CEH wasn't a great performer, anyways. Like
That's
he
fair.
didn't
Well,
do
when he was healthy, he was
when he
really.
was yeah when he was healthy,
But yeah,
whenever
that's
that
the
was.
yeah,
But
that's
he had trouble with injuries, and his performance was lackluster for me. I didn't get excited watching him run the ball.
it was never elite.
It wasn't entertaining, it wasn't flashy, it was
I do
just
think
running.
a lot of his game is surrounded by the fact that he had 3 NFL wide receivers and a potential MVP candidate at quarterback. I
Exactly.
Yeah,
think now looking back on it, and this is what 4 years since or 3.5 years, whatever the amount of time period is. He may have benefited the most on being that on that 2019 LSU offense, and I think now unfortunately we
yeah.
just found out.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's where all
because
the hype came from. This is the greatest offense that ever played college football, and look how good he is, and look how good Joe Burrow is, and how good Jamar Chase is, and Justin Jefferson is. And then
yeah,
it's like, actually, he was the weak link.
he was
Yeah,
very, very much the
he
weak
was
link, and
passing. He was
I
passing
wasn't
more.
high on him. I wasn't high on him from day one. I just didn't like him for some reason,
He was
and
That's fair.
Yeah, he was the one that I was scared of. Like, really, you're gonna do first round? That's
But it
bold.
was pick 32, so it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay, all right, we can rock with this.
yeah.
yeah, but yeah.
So, gentlemen, that is our running back episode, and
Survived.
we have survived. I think that was a fantastic conversation, and
I think
I
so.
think we've provided a good dynasty context to a lot of these running backs that we saw last year. And you, Ryan, hit him with all the socials.
All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in and listening to this podcast. Thank you for supporting us. Just make sure to like and subscribe on this YouTube channel. And check out all of our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Last Place FP.
Yeah.
Go
Ethan,
ahead and hit it. Hit it, Ethan.
Never forget. Sometimes right. Sometimes Ryan. We'll see you next time.
have a good one, everybody.